This podcast is part of the Deluxe Edition Network. To find other This podcast is part of the Deluxe Edition Network. To find other great shows on the network, head over to deluxeeditionnetwork.com. That's deluxeeditionnetwork.com.
Welcome to, oh, well, hell, I already screwed that one up. Welcome to Talking Shit. I'm Mark. This is Brian. And today we have a Citrus County native. His name is Cody Struble. He's 17 years old and he's a racing champion. And, we'd like to thank the Deluxe Edition Network for allowing us to be on their network. And Brian, who do we have for podcast of the month?
The two podcasts that we want you guys to know about for the month are going to be Spoil My Movie and World's True Crime. Of course, you head over to the Deluxe Edition Network, and there are several other podcasts that we want you to check out as well as Talking Shit.
And here we are. We're going to bring in Cody now. Hello, Cody. Oh, he sounds.
Your audio is a little better.
Maybe.
Yeah, I got better. You now. Sounds much better, Cody.
All right, we're gonna start this all off. Okay, first off, Cody, we're gonna your stats from last year: 2 wins, 6 top 3 finishes, 10 top 5 finishes, 10 top 10 finishes. You won 3 heats. You led for 63 laps in both heat and featured action. And you became a driver of the year and champion at 17. How does that feel?
Feels pretty good. We started off at the end of 2 years ago, and we had speed immediately. So I knew going into the next season, we were just going to try our best to finish good. And we started off getting like 4 fourth place finishes in a row, and we just couldn't break that part of it. But then we started getting a little faster, and we started competing more for wins. And then we finally got the first one through a DQ, but it was still a win. And then the next race we showed up and won it fair and square. And then at the end of the year, we slowed down a little bit, but we were still able to just maintain our speed, finish good, and eventually win the championship.
Well, Cody, you're 17 years old, and I'm going to assume that you're still in high school. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So how do you balance racing and schoolwork?
This year is a little bit easier because I don't have as much schoolwork to do. I only have 4 classes because I do what they call CDE. So I only have to do 4 classes worth of work, but it's not that much schoolwork, so it's not that hard for me.
So you're a senior this year?
Yes.
And you're over at Lecanto High School. You're a Panther, is that right?
Yeah.
Mark and I both graduated as Lecanto Panthers as well. So thank you for doing something good for the school, bud.
Well, I knew his mom in school too, so that was easy. Yep. Actually, his grandparents used to. I don't know if they still live down the road from my mom or not, off of Pleasant Avenue. I don't know if they still do or not, but that's where I met his mom and his uncle and uncles. But um, last night's race, how'd you do?
Uh, I raced both the pure stock and the street stock, and finished both races in second place, chasing down the leader. In both races, I wish we would have had 5 or 10 more laps because both cars were pretty fast, and I think we had a shot at winning both of them.
What kind of car are you driving there, Cody?
Uh, both of them are both of them are Camaros, old, not junk Camaros, but not the best things out there. The pure stock has a 602 crate motor with a just normal, and it's normal street car, basically just gutted and all that, but we've made it go fast. The street stock has a built motor that likes to go down the straightaways, and both of them are pretty fast when we can get them right.
So what uh what originally made you get into racing?
Probably just watching it, and I did a bunch of go-kart racing, and my dad wanted me to do stock kart racing, so I tried it, and then we just kept going with it.
Do you have any idols?
Uh, my dad is the main one. If you want like a more of a celebrity type one, I really
No,
like Kyle Larson.
I mean your dad's perfect. I mean, he was a interesting guy growing up. So yeah, I remember him racing a lot. You and your dad were the same age, winning championships, right? Or
Um, I don't know when he won his first one, or
We'll have to do a little research on Rex, I think, and find out when he won that first championship.
I just know that we both won Driver of the Year 20 years apart.
yeah,
That's got to be a pretty good accomplishment too. I mean, it's got to feel pretty good.
Yeah, it feels pretty good and pretty coincidental, I guess.
uh, being 17 years old and not knowing, you're just getting ready to get out of high school. Uh, what's your plans after high school?
Uh, don't have exactly a plan, but I do want to make a bunch of money doing some type of something with racing, whether it be NASCAR or a local level type thing.
Do you just there's a circuit that you go around, right? Like it's Citrus, like going to Marion County and all them too, right?
We've mainly stayed at Citrus, but the past couple months we've tried going to other tracks. We've gone to Freedom Factory, Auburndale, 417 before it closed, and we want to go other places, but we're sticking to Citrus and Freedom Factory and maybe Auburndale.
So I
Do those
remember,
do those tracks feel any different than Citrus?
Uh, Auburndale is probably just a little bit more rough. Freedom Factory is more fast. It feels better. A really good environment down there.
Mark, I cut you off, man. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to
oh
do that.
no, I was gonna say, I know that when your dad raced, yeah, he used to go to different tracks. I know that in a few years ago, I believe it was before COVID, I should say. The first time I actually watched you do anything was with the esports when you were on when you were doing it with the NASCAR drivers themselves when you were racing on the on I think it was Xbox or something like that. You had a complete setup where you sat in the seat. You were doing the, driver's training or whatever that was.
Uh, iRacing called.
Yeah.
Yeah, I started doing it, I think 3, 4 years ago. I did it really a lot for 3 years. I've kind of slowed down on it recently because I've been focusing more on the actual racing. But I've raced against a couple, uh, like big local drivers and big NASCAR drivers. I think one of the main ones, I raced, or I at least practiced against Dale Jr. a couple times.
I remember that one. I told your mom that I wish that was real. Well, I mean, it was real, but it wasn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that would have been cool.
Cody, I'm
I,
looking at a number 19 on this picture of the car that you drive. What does that number represent?
Uh, it's just kind of the number I chose. When I first did go-karts, I chose 4 because Kevin Harvick, when he did switch over to it. But then I chose 19 because of Carl Edwards, and I don't know why
respectable.
exactly, but I've kind of just liked the number 19.
Very cool.
Now, Brian had asked me this, and I'm going to ask it because I never asked your mom or your dad. So, what's the deal with Joe Dirt?
Uh, that's
I know
that.
your dad had it, and then I'm like, okay, I was just curious.
It's just he had it, so I was just like, well, I'll just be Joe Dirt Jr.
Yeah, because I had to, I put Joe Dirt Jr., and it's like, shit. I got to fix that and put it, where it says Cody Struble, so other people know. I'm
So, what about horsepower? Do you know about what kind of horsepower you guys are putting out on the track in these Camaros?
Uh, 60 602 crate in the pure stock's probably around 350 ish, maybe 320. Don't know exactly. The built's probably got a little more. At least it feels a lot more.
Okay.
Maybe close to 400. I don't know. We haven't done any of that trying to test it out.
Okay, I gotcha. Now, listen, I've never been inside the cockpit of a race car. Do you have a regular speedometer, or do you have like a tachometer or something that's really close to where you can kind of see what kind of speed you're putting out?
Uh, we don't have a speedometer, but we do have a tachometer, but we don't know if either one of them work. But uh, we've tested a little bit, seeing how fast we are going. When I was in my pure stock at Freedom Factory, we gauged it was maybe around 80, 85 miles an hour at the end of the straightaway. So probably at Citrus like 70-ish, maybe.
Do you know about how big those tracks are that you're running on? From that starting gate, is it over a mile or under a mile?
The track size is Citrus is about a quarter mile,
Okay.
Yeah, I was
about
gonna say
three,
it's not very.
five
Yeah,
sixteenths, something like that.
it's not
Uh,
very big
I think
compared to some of.
I think Bradenton's 3/8 mile, and I think Auburndale's a true quarter mile, I believe.
The last race I ever went to was in Marion County, and that was like probably about 20 years ago. I need to get to the racing because to be honest, I haven't watched racing since Dale Jr. Retired. I think that was the last time I watched it because I didn't like the formats that they went to.
Cody, who's your pit crew leader? Is that Dad?
Yeah, he's just kind of the crew chief, the guy who does most of the work on it. I just help him a lot.
So is it true that when the pit chief or the crew chief is that the guy that yells at everybody, including the driver, or does he maintain his composure pretty well?
It's it sometimes gets a little heated, just mainly when we're in a rush. If we're not in a rush or anything, it stays calm. But whenever we get in a rush, it kind of gets a little frustrating.
Okay. Now I see you got Worthington as one of your sponsors. Who's Worthington?
Uh, Mike and Stacy Worthington, I think they're my mom's cousins or something like
Yes.
that.
Yeah, your mom's cousins.
Yeah, they're a local business around us, and when I started my racing, they jumped on board and helped us a lot.
That's really good.
Who's your
Any
main
other?
sponsor?
Uh, them and Roll Pavers and Cross Electric and Henley's, they all help a lot.
So when you're not racing, what are you doing?
Uh, Mainly just working on the race car, iRacing a little bit, playing some kind of video game, or just relaxing.
Okay. Okay. So you said working on the race cars. So you mechanically inclined then?
Uh, Not a lot, but I know most things.
You know enough to get yourself around the motor.
Yeah,
Good for
we've
you.
we've I kind of know my way around a small block Chevy by now. I think in 2-3 weeks we tore a motor down 3 times.
Okay. You put new motors in cars. You got a cherry picker at the house, I assume. Be able to pull that block out of there and.
We use uh, when we well, we work on our race cars at one of my sponsors, Henley's Grading. You store our race cars there, and
Okay.
there's a forklift there, so most of the time we just use that.
Whatever gets the job done, right?
Yeah.
I didn't even think of a forklift. Damn. I've used cherry pickers. I've used tree limbs. But I've never used a forklift. Well, we picked you. You see, when we first started this podcast, we were like, we want to pick people from Citrus County to have on here, and we want to talk with them. And well, you were the first one that I picked out of everybody because, well, I thought it was cool that you're 17 years old, you're already a champion, you're a driver of the year, and most people in your age they'd rather be doing something else than what you're doing. And it seems like you got your the right passion for the sport going forward. I'd like to see that. Keep going forward on that one. I'd like to see I'm going to call it the Bush Series, and but I know it's not the Bush Series. I forget what they call it now, but I think it would be cool to see you racing up, the higher end of them.
Yeah, I'd definitely at least try to make it somewhere up there, but it takes a lot of money to be able to do that.
Well, it takes a lot of skill too, and we honestly believe that you may have the skill if you're able to win championships. I mean, you just keep pushing yourself to do that. Um, Cody, does it feel like a lot of work when you're behind the wheel of the car?
Sometimes and sometimes not. Uh, it's kind of depends on the situation. If if your car's not right, then it feels like a lot of work trying to make it go fast. But if your car's handling well and you feel like you're the fastest thing out there, it just feels like you're out there for a Sunday drive.
When's the last time that you yourself have got pissed off, lost your cool in the car?
Mm, Probably
Every night, every night he's on the track, probably.
maybe for just like a couple seconds or so, but then I'd calm back down.
I was figuring when he wrecked the car 2 weeks ago.
I wasn't mad then. I was just kind of confused at what happened.
So what did happen?
Uh, we have GoPros, and I didn't know exactly what happened at the beginning of it, but um, Two cars got together in front of me and they went right into the wall, and the guy in front of me slowed down. I slowed down to and barely hit the guy in front of me, and then the people behind us, they were all, I don't know what they were doing, but uh, they were all couldn't slow down, and one of them got on my left rear and just climbed over the hood and roof, and it was just a big melee at the end there.
Damn.
I'm sure that's a scary thing, right? I mean, is that one of the worst things that you've been in?
That, yeah. There was one other time at, I think, my second or third race, car in front of me spun off turn 4. I went low to try and avoid it, and of course, he came down the track, and then it tore the whole right side door off of it. But that was the only other big-ish wreck I was in.
How often does it take, or when you wreck, how much time does it take to repair it?
If it was a wreck like 2 weeks ago, it took us a week and a half to fix it because it was only body damage. But other minor wrecks, maybe 2-3 days.
I mean, anything on the track, though. I mean, if you're talking about having a car go over the top of you, that doesn't sound like anything that would be minor. So you're talking, your car is probably going to be down for a couple of weeks having something like that happen. Is that right?
Uh, if it breaks a lot of stuff, yeah. But for us, it was only the body, which we had an extra body laying around, and it didn't even bend the toe, bend anything else. It just squished the air cleaner a little bit, and that was it. And we raced it this past weekend.
Yeah, I was about to ask him, how many cars do you have?
We have our pure stock and the street stock, and then we have a sportsman that we haven't run in a little bit, but we want to try to run eventually.
Cody, those tracks that you mentioned earlier, can you mention those one more time? I know you're at Citrus. You've done two other
Brandon.
big ones. What was it?
Brandon, one of them.
Yeah, Citrus, Bradenton,
Oh, Brandon. Yeah.
Auburndale, and
Auburndale.
417.
Out of those tracks, which one do you like the best? Which one would you like to be on all the time?
Probably, if I wasn't worried about the wrecking aspect and any of that stuff, probably Bradenton.
Okay. You now in the race industry, I know you guys have a lot of rivals and stuff like that. Who's your biggest rival and who's your biggest supporter as far as like on the track with you?
I don't really have a rival, but we do have a couple of people that I seem to be always around, which in pure stocks, it's Caleb Grossenbacher, Welter, Larry Welter Jr., and Sport Wilson sometimes, which I always seem to be around at the end of the races. Street stocks, same thing. I'm maybe around a couple people, but none of them are like rivals or anything.
Well, maybe you have to create a rivalry if you don't have a real one yet. Maybe you need to create one. Hey, I think it's great for the sport. I mean, you watch it in
And-
NASCAR; it's fun, you know.
yeah, but come on. Um, shit. You
So
actually
big,
took my question. I was going to ask him that.
so big shout out to those guys that you do hang around. So I mean, you guys collectively, if everybody was on the same page, and we start talking teams like NASCAR's got the teams and stuff, would those be the guys that you'd want on your team?
Uh, Probably a couple of them, yeah.
Okay.
What is a what is a dream track for you that you'd want to be on?
Probably Bristol. The big mile and a half tracks, I don't know about those. They seem maybe a little bit not boring, but just if you're in a pack of cars, it's probably not boring. But if you're in there by yourself, it's probably a little bit boring. But Bristol, with all the banking, the high speed, I'd love to drive that track.
It's one of the smallest tracks that they have, right?
Yeah, it's only a half mile.
And I always wanted to go see that one because, 1 minute your driver's leading next to their 4 laps down, and then they're, leading again. And I'm like, shit, it's the only track you see that at.
Are there any females that race in the series with you guys, Cody?
Not with only, I think one in our street stock class was in there last year, was Lauren Lanier. I think that's kind of it.
And is she a Citrus County resident as well? She's not from here.
She races here a lot, so I don't know exactly. I just know she races here a lot.
Gotcha. So if you weren't racing today, what would you be doing as far as, some kind of sport, some kind of activity to stay motivated? Would you be playing baseball, football, anything like that?
Probably like soccer or something. That was kind of the only sport I was like halfway into until
you
I
enjoyed it?
discovered racing. Yeah, it was pretty fun.
Okay. And you were probably pretty good at soccer too. Is that right?
Yeah, I did it when I was like 11 or 12, but I was pretty good back then.
Cool.
All right. Well, like I said, I wasn't going to keep you on very long on today because, your mom said that you were very shy anyways. Actually, it doesn't seem like
I think
you're
he's
shy.
doing great, Mark.
Oh, yeah.
Cody,
But-
it's up to you. You got anything else you want to talk about?
Not really.
Got any
Yeah,
real
he
quick?
he wants to go back to watching the race.
Real quick, any love interest?
Racing?
There you go. That's my man. Cody, it's been a pleasure talking to you, man. We'd love to have you back on the show. We'd love to actually come out and watch you race. I haven't been out on the track in quite some time, so.
And when is the next Derby racing or Derby or Crash Up Derby?
I think March 10th or something like that.
Is that something that you do too?
No.
Okay.
I'd like to do the enduro part of it, but you got to be 18 to do it, and I ain't 18 till end of March.
That's coming up real quick, though.
Yeah.
All right, I might actually come out for that one. All right, we're going to let you go so you can get back to probably watching the race because I know it's on.
All right.
Cody, thanks for
Thank you.
joining us here on the show, man. We really appreciate you. And if you if you can think of anything else that you want us to talk about with you on the next show, reach out to us, and we'll be more than happy to ask any of those questions or steer away from any questions if we need to. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
You got it.
Thank you. Thank you for coming on. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Cody Struble.
Joe Dirt Jr. But he doesn't have a mullet, right? He's
No.
okay. That's all right.
Neither does Rex, but I just think it's funny that they use that name. And I think it was just for the funny part of it all.
It's never too late to start with the mullet, I don't think, man. All you got to do is shave the sides and get her to start rocking in the back,
Ew. And my uncle just showed me a picture of my cousin's leg that he broke in a car accident last night.
See, here we are talking about racing. You're over here talking about people getting in car accidents. I don't like it. It's bad.
Oh no, he was on a motorcycle.
Oh, even worse.
Yeah.
That speaking of that, I think that we need to go ahead and get us a some kind of motocross racer on here, Mark. What do you think?
I think so too. Who do you think we got? Who do you think we can get?
I think that there's a young man that races motocross that's been to Loretta Lynn's, and his name is Trip Carr. So, Trip, if you're watching this, or if you get a chance to watch this, we're inviting you on to Talking Shit, so you can come talk shit with us and tell us about the motorcycle world.
We'd like to hear it.
We'd really like to hear it. There's a
Plus,
lot of.
and he's from Citrus County too, right?
He is a Citrus County original. That's right. He's actually a neighbor of mine. So
Well,
hopefully
then,
we get an opportunity to get him on here, Mark. We'll have to talk
Okay.
to his dad, Roy. So Roy, if you're watching, I think we've already had this conversation, but we would like to invite Trip to come on to the show and give us some stories about his career as well.
Interesting part, since we're on guest, on Wednesday, 8 p.m., we're going to have Peter Anthony on, and on Friday is going to be an interesting one too. We're going to have Toby and Angela, or Angel, sorry, from TikTok on here, and we'll be talking to them about their skits, and we'll be talking to Peter Anthony about his movies, his roles, his being a director, all this fun stuff. So hopefully that you guys can tune in on Tuesday. Or
That's right,
sorry,
guys.
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
What the hell?
We're gonna be
What?
switching
Oh my
to
God.
we're gonna be
Yeah,
switching to Tuesdays.
Yes, come March, after March 1st, we're going to be switching to Tuesdays, and I think Tuesdays and Thursdays, if everything goes right. And every once in a while, whenever there's something special, then of course, we'll put it on a different day. But most of the time, it'll be Tuesdays and Thursdays about 8:30, and I think that'll be our go-to time after this.
And it's simply because we like to talk shit, and we like to talk shit with our guest. You're probably going to get a chance to watch just Mark and I talk to each other, and that's kind of like watching me talk to myself, I think. Isn't that right, Mark?
Most of the time, yeah. That's because you don't let people talk.
Whatever.
Yeah.
You said I got a lot of questions for Cody. I said, okay.
Well, I did, but you kept taking them.
Oh my goodness!
No, I mean, every time I went to, I was going to ask him if he had any people that he has any grudges with or anything like that on there, and you came up with that one. I was like, shit.
I just thought it was a really good question. I mean,
it was.
I mean, I feel like in that industry, in this race industry that Cody's in, is there not some type of beef that you're going to have with somebody? I mean,
right?
You can't tell me. And maybe it's just not a known thing. Maybe it's just in their heads where it's like, oh, if so and so, gets in front of me, I'm just gonna bump them a little bit. I'm gonna rub them a little bit.
Rub them, wreck them, tap them a little.
No, don't wreck them out. I don't think that.
Yeah, there are some people that. Well, no, I'm not saying that that's cool, but that some people does that. But all in all, I see big things for Cody. I wish him the best.
Me too. Yeah, absolutely. Guys, if you are from Citrus County, if you're watching and you haven't been to the Citrus County Speedway, go get yourself some tickets and go watch this kid race. I'm sure that he's not the only one that you're going to want to see. There's probably a lot of other great talent out there on that track. So.
Oh yeah. So. Again, on Wednesday we'll have Peter Anthony, and I mean he's a award-winning director, producer, writer. He wrote his own script. He's very talented. And on Friday, or go back to Wednesday, it's at 8 p.m.
Eastern Standard Time.
Eastern Standard Time, and then on Friday we're gonna have Toby and
Angela.
Angel or Angela.
I'm pretty sure it's Angel, bud.
Yeah. We'll have them on at 8 o'clock on Friday, and that'll be our last Friday one.
And then we'll move into going into no, because we got another guest after that, and I believe that's
Yeah.
on Wednesday. Is that right?
Yes. The first March 1st.
March 1st, we're going
Andy.
to have a good friend of mine from California. And if you haven't checked him out on TikTok, his name is Andrew Jasic. Get a chance to go and check him out on his TikTok. Take a look at some of the videos that he does. We're going to talk about those videos, as well
We're
as
gonna laugh.
a little bit of surprising information.
Yep. We'll let some of that slip later on, maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe. It just depends. We'll know next week, or no, this week.
Yep.
Until then. Oh yeah, reminds me. Who's the podcast of the month again?
Guys, podcast of the month again are Spoil My Movie and World's True Crime. There are other really good podcasts to go and check out over on the Deluxe Edition Network. So get over there and check them out.
And you guys go check them out. Until then, we'll see you Wednesday. I'm Mark.
I'm Brian.
And this is Talking Shit, saying goodbye.